Hey there, I'm Jen, the board game librarian. I am here with, we call you Master von Ostrand in our house.
Thank you.
Did you know that?
Oh, I'm honored. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Be like, oh, did Master von Ostrand text? Oh, yes. So Carl von Ostrand to talk about his Kickstarter, Merchant's Cove.
Yes.
By Final Frontier.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So how long had you been working on this before you shopped it out and it ended up at Final Frontier?
Yeah, so this was pretty ambitious, as people who are maybe looking at it can tell, but this started back, I want to say, beginning to middle of 2016, because I know that I started a development blog at the end of that year on BGG.
Oh, geez,
and
okay.
It was like 2 years later that it had a conversation with Final Frontier through a good connection of ours, and went from there.
Wow, so what were your inspirations like back in 2016? So Root hadn't been done yet.
Right.
Vast? Was Vast out? Vast was out then?
Absolutely. There's a part of me that when I saw Vast being developed, I think I was following it on BGG or Twitter or both. And yes, just the whole idea of asymmetry I've always loved, whether it's in video games or other types of cardboard games. Loved what he was doing, definitely inspired me, like not gonna lie. I thought this could be done, it could be done in a different way, and I ran with it. Yeah.
So let's talk about Merchant's Cove. And what was it initially called? What did we play?
Town Square.
Town Square, that's right. So what do we have going on here?
Right, so the big thing with this game is it's heavily asymmetric, which you can tell. But when I say that, what I mean is each individual shopkeeper that you play as to court these customers that are coming in on different boats has a completely different core mechanism to how they play. So that was very ambitious because in many ways each individual shopkeeper is its own little separate micro game. And then from there what's happening is there's a sort of centerpiece game that ties an input to a major resource that all shopkeepers use, and an output which is in the form of the goods that are very unique that are produced by each shopkeeper. So it's sort of a mid-section of the game tied into the main board.
All right, so for example here we have the Alchemist, and what is their main goal? What's their little mini game that they have going on here?
Alchemist is definitely a lot of fun. Basically, as you can imagine, the main goal is to brew potions, but what's cool about her, she's got a marble component which comes down through the top of her little bottle at the top. So as you select marbles from that container, you are then putting them into your urns, and using recipes at the bottom of the board, you can make potions of different sizes and different colors. So she's got sort of a potion brewing theme. You have to be careful not to use too many of the certain kind of ingredient, or else you can lead to corruption and explosions. So there's a sort of risk-reward element to it, but that's the gist of her. Yeah.
Just for example, some of the
shiny marbles.
Shiny marbles. Any inspirations on her little mini game?
There's to other potion games, Potion Explosion, other games like that. There's a certain feel. Part of the other thing we were doing with this is that there's a certain familiarity with each of the mini games. There are probably other types of games that people have played that have that same core mechanism, which was on purpose because there's a lot to learn in an asymmetric game.
Absolutely.
And that's a challenge we wanted to sort of take down, was to lower the amount of learning that had to get done, so a little bit of familiarity went a long way. Yeah.
So what other little mini games do we have? What other mechanics?
Yeah, so for the four main characters, you have the Alchemist, who's brewing potions through sort of selecting ingredients and matching those ingredients, so it's sort of a select and match. The captain over here is going fishing for both seafood and treasure by using a spinner. Yes, we've brought back a spinner in a very fun way, but it's essentially a move and collect, biding your moves carefully, understanding what you can get within your moves. You have 4 boats to control, so it's multi-movement, multi-select. And then the blacksmith has sort of, if you've ever played like a role player before, it's a roll and place game where the pips on your dice must equal or break certain thresholds to craft the armor and the swords that you need to sell. The fourth character, who's not out on the table right now, is a chronomancer / time traveler, which is almost like a rondel movement game with 2 separate movement characters, where you get to change the rondel as you go around and place tiles to sort of affect what you can make as these 2 characters travel around the board.
So with the game that we had just played, it was a 3-player game, and the ones that are out on the table are the characters that we played. I was the captain, and I was like, a spinner? I love it.
Better believe it.
But I think too, I mean, in terms of theme, when a captain's out on their ship, they have all these variables with wind and everything else going on. So yeah, you're not always going to get, for movement every single time.
Right.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this character. And we should say too that everything that's on here is not necessarily final production, correct?
Yeah, this is a prototype, so yeah, there's some component upgrades that'll certainly be happening. It's a nice looking prototype, but yeah, in terms of functionality and some things we still want to do, yeah, there's some stuff going on there. So that's always sort of a work in progress until the last minute, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's little adjustments here and there. For the most part though, what you see, it's pretty darn final in terms of gameplay and mechanisms, yeah.
So what was your favorite character to work on?
Oh man, at the end of the day, I think I still have, I've always liked the Alchemist, and I think I'm still there today. That might change after more and more plays, but yeah, I love the tactile nature of the components. I love the visuals. I love the nature of brewing potions. It's also, I've just found one that's easy to teach and people get real quickly, so maybe that's why as well. Yeah.
So what was your design process working on this?
Holy smokes, just hours and hours of sitting down and meeting a whole list of basic criteria that had to be in this game for it to all click.
All right.
There can be so many things that are going wrong when you're intertwining 4 to 6 mini games with a main game with an input and an output. So there's obviously balance. You can't have runaway winners, and there's obviously needs to be inherent balance in how how strong each character is. A big thing for me too was tying theme to the mechanisms. Okay. So the feeling of customers coming in on boats, you having some control over that. Being able to hire people from the town into your shops to sort of help your shop efficiency. All that thematic tie-in was really important. So keeping that all together was an exercise for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you and I have talked recently about uniquely awesome.
Yes.
So that's something that you are particularly interested in. So what would be your uniquely awesome one sentencer for Merchant's Cove? Because, I think some people get really Kickstarter fatigued maybe, or new game fatigued, and they're always looking at, how is this different? And
yeah, so that's me as a player and a designer. And I read an article recently that we were talking about, and it's always sort of something that I've thought, and this guy just mirrored my thoughts very well in the blog article. So what's uniquely awesome, right? This is actually when I start to design a game, including Merchant's Cove, I am trying to hit that from the get-go. It's part of the design goal. And for Merchant's Cove, it was heavy asymmetry with the ability to not have to know how each other player plays. To play the game, and I think we experienced that.
Absolutely.
Tonight,
it was. Yeah. I think when we had talked about this, kind of our afterthoughts after playing the game, that you could be like even setting things up for your next turn while other people were going, and when you really needed to pay attention was when you were putting the customers on the boats, and when you moved the boats into the docks, to see if you had more. Let's say red potions, and you were looking for red customers to come in. Yeah.
That was it. And I got to give credit where credit is due to developers on this game and Final Frontier as a publisher. Johnny and Drake, who worked on this in the development stage, are just so good at this, and I'd have to give them credit for making sure that vision was seen through all the way to the development phase was huge. But yeah, there's interaction in the main boat and customer, as well as the clock, the input resource. You get good interaction there. But then all of the other information that you need to make smart decisions is displayed nicely on these little tables where all the goods are held. And that's what you need to know, and it's front and center, and that allows you to make decisions without knowing exactly how that other character is playing and what might make them suddenly win or something.
So what changes happened through the process of working with Final Frontier?
Oh my God, well, it was such an amazing experience working with those guys. I was jaw dropped, honestly. They're so in tune. They cared so much about seeing the vision through. They're professionals, they're organized. I mean, it actually motivated me more than in the past to get out and start working on new designs, knowing
That's
that
cool.
there are publishers out there that will cradle a vision and make it even better. So that was exciting. I can't say enough good things about them.
So this is going to be part of their larger universe that they have too. Same artwork, correct?
Yeah, same artist who people are familiar with. He's got a nice style. Dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, people already on the Facebook groups and Merchants Cove Facebook are already like, they saw the artwork and like, you know, I was saying to you earlier, someone had painted the minis. Someone else who had gotten a prototype to work on, and it was like, so it's going to be really great quality.
Yeah,
too.
The components are up there, no doubt about it. Yeah, these little boats that you get to make and the meeples actually fit into them. It feels good. Yeah, I can't say enough about those guys. The whole process has been incredible. And considering, again, the ambitious nature of the game, it was a lot to take on, and they did it.
So another previously published design was Kapow,
Yeah.
2-ton porcupine,
Right.
one of our favorite games of 2018. Two-player combat dice crafting game. How was it working? So you're like total brain switches, right? Working with something that's so heavily full of dice, to something that would you describe as midweight Euro?
Yeah, this is definitely now a midweight Euro, and definitely different than Kapow, but you know what? It follows suit with the idea of uniquely awesome. That's what I'm pursuing, and I'm learning as I go a little bit, like any designer. But yeah, I mean that was actually, you know, Doug, my friend, was the lead designer on that, and I thought the uniquely awesome aspect of that game was craftable dice and a head-to-head combat scenario, which had not been done before.
No.
And yeah, it's a very different type of game, but it's a 20-minute to 30-minute ton of fun, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I completely agree.
Yeah, definitely tooting my own horn a little bit.
Oh yeah, feel free to. So playtesting, we got to play in the test this almost a year ago. We were saying on the way over to your house.
Yeah, it was a while back.
Who else did you rely on in terms of playtesting?
Yeah, so the 2-ton porcupine crew who made Kapow is Larry, Doug, myself, and they're my go-to play testers when I'm really self-conscious about a design still, and I don't yet want to bring it to a shop and show it to people. So they're not only wonderful designers in their own, they have great games as well. So they're huge and honest critics, which is what you need in an early stage. So first and foremost, those guys, I brought certain games to game groups, and you know, you live in the area, there's some great shops, whether it's, you know, the Newington Tabletop Shop, the Portal in Manchester, the Middletown Boardroom. So we've got options, and they're all really solid about bringing designers in for testing.
Yeah, it's Connecticut is so small too that I think just fostering the community and really helping each other out is wonderful. And I would say for the most part, everyone that I've known who was a designer has had positive experiences with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and most FLGSs I think are super cool about you coming and bringing your stuff, because it's like potential future sales too for them. Let's see.
I can give you a little bit. I can drop a little bit of knowledge if you want.
Oh, I'd love knowledge. I'm a librarian. We're all about the knowledge.
So a little bit of a hint. So I talked about the 4 characters. This game will have 5th and 6th characters as well.
Okay.
And I think it's okay to say a little bit about those characters. One is the innkeeper. You had asked about the game universe. This game ties into Final Frontier's other game universe, which includes Cavern Tavern and Rise to Nobility. So the innkeeper is actually the character from Cavern Tavern. He'll be the 5th character. And there is a 6th character as well, which is, I guess I shouldn't say too much, but it has a really cool core mechanism that will be out very soon, if not by the time this is on air.
People will find out soon. So what else would you like people to know other than please support our friend Carl?
Yeah, no, thank you.
And his awesome game.
Thank you. That's it. I feel like I've said plenty. And no, I'm just very excited, as any designer can relate to, when they see a game start with a bunch of index cards and crap on a table, and now you get to see it looking like this and even more. It's super exciting. So
yeah, no, we were excited last year, and especially even more excited when we had talked recently, and it was going from 1 to 5 players.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we can play with 2 players.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're just super proud of you.
Thanks, Jen.
Yay! So Kickstarter again starting Wednesday, August 21st.
Yeah, next week.
Next week, a week from when we're filming this. We will try to include at some point a link to the Kickstarter when it becomes available, so people can do the old clickio and drop some money.
Yeah, right. Be good. Yeah.
And we'll talk to you more when you got more designs.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Cool. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Thanks.